Measure along one of the ends. Then cut 2 strips of fabric this length and then about 3 inches wide, but you can of course make these wider or thinner. And also cut 2 strips of batting the exact same length and width as the 2 strips of fabric. We now need to adhere the batting to the back of the fabric strip. We use spray adhesive for this step. Place your quilt wrong side up on top of one of the border strips. The right sides will be together. Match up one of the long raw edges of the border and quilt together, and then use quilt clips or pins to secure in place. Using your sewing machine, stitch the quilt and border strip together using a 1/2 inch seam. Make sure that the seams between the blocks are open flat when you sew over them. To reduce any bulk, we like to remove the excess batting from the seams. Carefully do this with applique scissors and try not to cut through any fabric or stitching. Fold the border over and press flat with your iron. Top stitch your border for a neat finish. Make sure you are using a colour thread that matches your border fabric. Go ahead and repeat the exact same process to attach the second border to the opposite ends of the quilt. Now that we have the 2 end borders attached, you may have excess fabric and batting from the borders that extend past the sides of the quilt. We like to trim these off to keep everything neat and tidy. We are now going to be adding the remaining 2 borders to the sides of the quilt. Measure one side of the quilt and include the width of the 2 end borders into this measurement. Cut 2 strips of fabric and 2 strips of batting this length, and again the same width that you cut the end borders. Use the same pinning and stitching technique to attach these side borders to the quilt. Remember to trim the excess batting out of the seams before folding over and ironing the borders down. And also top stitch these 2 borders. With your rotary cutter and ruler, trim any excess fabric and batting from the side borders.